on the previous episode of Ménage À Mind.
My mom kicks me out at the age of 18 years old.
Are you exactly who you say you are?
I want us to all feel like winners, and I want us to all feel like we're in this and we're all like...
This is you taking care of everybody else.
It's year 2023, and we want to live that soft life. But we also need to realize in order to do so, we need healthier relationships due to the benefits that allow us on an individual, couple, family, and community level. Understanding our partners is crucial for the success and happiness of any relationship. When we understand our partners, we are able to better communicate with them, resolve conflict, and support them in their endeavors and their dreams. It allows us to be more empathetic, more compassionate, and helps us navigate the ups and downs of a relationship with greater ease. By understanding our partners, we can build a deeper connection and foster a sense of intimacy and trust. This is especially important in romantic relationships, where understanding and communication are crucial for maintaining a strong bond. Taking the time to really get to know and understand our partner along with ourselves can help create a relationship that is built on mutual respect, love, and support. In this session, we will be taking a deep dive into understanding one another. Welcome to Ménage À Mind. So I do have a question for you.
Yes,
What's the most interesting thing that your partner had to learn about you?
that's a good damn question. I was hoping you were going to ask the opposite and say what's something about him.
That's too easy.
That's too easy. I think that my husband has done an amazing job of picking and choosing his battles.
Ooh, say more.
Yes. So I would say that it's important that we pick and choose our battles. We have to know what's worthy of speaking out against. We have to know what's worthy of just ignoring and dismissing. We have to know what's worthy of picking up at a later date and time. And I think he does an excellent job of reading my emotions so that he's aware of this is not the right time to bring up blank. Let me hold off and tackle this at a later time. I think he's genius at that. He has never once in the 5 years, at least that I can remember, ever had poor timing.
Smart man.
Smart man.
Shout out to your husband.
Smart man.
I wish I could take that title, but that is not the case. For me, I would say one of the greatest thing or the hardest thing that my wife had to learn about me is knowing when to hold me and knowing when to push me. And that applies to everything in life, right? Career-wise, knowing when to be like, you've done enough. Let's stay here. Let's stay parked. Versus, okay, now let's go. Let's go on to the next steps. I think she does a great job of that. And even in our personal life, like at times, like just emotionally speaking, knowing when to just hold me and be present for me and create space for me and give me that silence and that support, and knowing when to speak life and motivate and ask me questions and give me feedback. I think she's done an excellent job at that too. Love you, baby.
All right, so then I'm going to ask you the reverse question.
What's
what
up?
about for you? Like, what is it that you think that you do so well for her that she does appreciate? Like, how do you guys communicate on that level?
I think one thing that I do for her that she appreciates is that I listen. Like I'm a very good listener, and I learned that in high school, right? You can talk yourself out of pussy, but you can never listen yourself out of pussy. If that makes sense.
Yes.
Right. So knowing how to listen, knowing how to create that space, and knowing like just being around women that were consistently complaining how their partner just did not listen. Right. So I learned to do the complete opposite of that. Yeah.
I hear that complaint a lot about partners, especially from women saying their partner doesn't listen. Their partner wants to come with resolutions, solutions. They want to fix things.
Yes.
The irony is, isn't that why a lot of times women choose men choose their man and choose men in general is because they want someone who's going to fix. So then are we
Oh, you
asking
want to
too
have
much?
that pod, huh?
Are we
You
asking
want to
too
have
much?
that pod?
No. This is in defense of gentlemen.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah, like, so are we asking too much of guys, of men, to say we want you to show up in this quote unquote masculine role of fixing things and being the leader and having resolution, but at the same time we want you to sit and listen to us complain and bitch and moan like you're our girlfriends?
So in defense, right, there's a place and time for everything, right? And us men need to do a better job of reading the room.
Yes.
Right. So a man will spend 2.5 seconds listening before moving to problem solving. Right. And a lot of times what a woman needs at a particular time is to feel heard and listened to. But since based on what you said, like if we're looking at the grand scheme of things, a lot of times the things that we say we want in a relationship and in a partner become the exact reason why we actually exit. Right. I want a man that's protective. Okay. I want him to be able to defend me. That's aggression. But when that aggression shows up in the relationship and punching walls and throwing things in, etc., then
It's too much. Yeah.
correct. I want a man that's making six figures and that's career oriented. Okay. And a lot of times that looks like working a lot and not
Yes.
being home and not being emotionally available to the family and to yourself.
Yep.
Right. So we have to be mindful of the things that we ask for.
Yes.
And we need to understand that there is a balance and we need to pay attention to what really matters. And that's character. And that's one of the things that we're going to discuss today. But before we do so, would you mind introducing yourself, please?
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Alison Wellington, certified dating and relationship coach. I primarily work with women to help them find and keep the partners that they deserve.
This is already a great pod. I am excited. Okay, let's continue to stir the pot. I'm liking this. Okay. So I wanted to talk about the primary thing that both men and women look for in their partners. Right. So I'm not a woman, but I feel like I understand women at a level that most don't. And the reason why is because I spent a long time trying to understand women, going through the research, reading, and just paying attention. So what I've walked away with is the fact that the primary thing that a woman looks for in a potential partner is not security, it's trustworthiness. The ability for them is they want their partner to be exactly who they say they are.
Yes.
They want your partner to do exactly what they say that they're going to do.
Yes.
A lot of women are very mindful of those that provide security to them through trustworthiness, right? Are you going to do what you say you're going to do? Are you going to show up the way you say you're going to show up?
Yes.
Right? If we're meeting at 2, are you going to be on time? If you say you're going to call, are you going to call?
Yes.
Are you actually who you are? Or is that a different version of yourself or a projection of yourself?
Yes.
Would you say that I'm accurate?
I think that you are absolutely
100%?
100% accurate. I think that the security comes, as you say, with the trustworthiness. I feel secure in my decision to be with you. I feel secure in taking next steps with you because you have proven to me that you are going to show up to be the man that you claim that you are. I think there's a lot of fear that's attached to, and I think you mentioned it in passing about you can talk your way out of pussy, but you can't listen your way out of it. There's a lot of fear attached to, if I give in, if I share my body, if I share my household, my children, my finances, my life with you, and you don't show up in the way that I anticipate, I have now wasted my time, wasted my effort, ruined my chances on the market to be seen as most valuable to others, i.e., I'm a divorcee, I've had children, my physique doesn't look the same.
Correct.
There's so much that's invested in that for women that is very risky to get involved with men, where that risk is not the same the other way. So absolutely, trustworthiness, I think, is the umbrella underneath every other thing that we're looking for.
And safety doesn't come until afterwards, right? I can't feel safe with you just upon seeing you and meeting you and chatting with you.
Yep.
Right. But based on our conversation, I can start seeing how trustworthy you are. So therefore being more open to more interactions and more engagement.
Yep.
But nowadays, it's also clear that a lot of men do not present themselves the way that they actually are. Right? Because we have this mindset, myself included, when I was in the dating world, that I need to be this type of person to seem more desirable. And the self-help culture is now using the high value man tagline to define that. Do you feel that's actually what women are looking for the long run?
I would say that we say so publicly, right? The six figures, the 6 feet, the six pack kind of thing. Which 666 is the devil. So whatever. I think we say that publicly, but I think there are plenty of women who out earn their partners. I think there are plenty of women who are okay with the dad bod. A dad bod is, I think, applauded. Definitely not the mom bod, but the dad bod is. So I think that that's something that may be pushed through social media, but in the reality of things, in practicality, in practice, I think that women are nowhere near as shallow, but I would say still very unrealistic. I think that one of the biggest issues that we have with dating on the dating scene is that women have this litany of behaviors and traits that they're looking for in a person, and those people don't exist. I think that there's been a dream that's been sold through Disney, through rom-coms of this perfect love and this perfect world where's the expression, like this
Yeah, I
this
got you.
romance is going to sweep you off your feet, and it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So I think that there's lots of disappointment with that, and there aren't real conversations about how difficult dating and relationships really are, and that's what's problematic.
Yeah. And if
Whirlwind,
correct.
that's the word.
And if you look at these terms, and what it boils down to is discipline. Are you disciplined enough to succeed in your career? Are you disciplined enough with your health and nutrition that you can maintain a physique that's desirable and that's effective for the lifestyle that you are living, right? Or are you disciplined enough to actually know how to navigate your social circles, right? So a lot of times I feel like we lack the language and the insight to really know what we're looking for. So we use these adjectives or these societal based definitions or titles to try to communicate that. But at the core of it, a woman is not looking for the richest man alive. They are not looking for someone who has the physique of The Rock, right? Ideally, they're looking for a hero, not a zero, right? And one of the ways that I've observed that is women's desire for men that are in uniform, firemen, a policeman, depending on your ethnicity,
Yeah.
the Navy,
Right.
military men,
Right.
right? Because these uniforms communicate stability, safety, and trustworthiness.
Yes.
I can trust you. There's a fire, you're gonna come and save me.
Yes.
There's a crime, you're gonna come and help.
Yes.
Like you can defend me, I can trust you, you're honorable.
Yes.
Right? And a lot of times men don't understand that. We're so focused being zeros by engaging in everything else that's not pertaining to the trust. Right? It's buying the most expensive things to seem desirable.
Yes.
But not really being able to sustain that lifestyle.
Yeah. And it works initially a lot of times, right?
All the time.
Right? The really nice car, the nice clothes, the jewelry, like you will rope in some women. Are those the types of women that you want to be with in the long term, right? Are those the women that you want to introduce to your mom and to have children with? I don't know. I'd leave that up to the gentleman. But it works. And it gives them the immediate desire, like the immediate conclusion, which is most of the time sex. So, and it's sex with really good looking women. So it's not a loss, but at the same time, in the long term, where's the value in that? I think that a lot of that gets lost. I think a lot of it is, what are we looking for here in the long term? Are you looking to the future? Are you deciding this is a good man that can help me to raise children? Or is this a good man who's going to fly me out and take me on vacation and buy me a Louis or a Gucci bag? So we have to be more cognizant of what is the end goal and how can I make better decisions moving forward so that I can get to the end goal.
Yeah.
Now, if you're in your 20s, though, you flued out. It's lit. Go ahead.
Enjoy your life.
Right. You're in your 30s.
Get those steps.
We're not really as concerned anymore.
Yeah. Right. So I viewed that concepts into two different categories. Are you looking for a life partner, or are you looking for a love story? Right. A love story is passionate. It's full of passion. It also goes by fast. It's great, but short term. A life partner can eventually encompass a love story.
Yes.
Right. So it's all of the passion and etc., but in the long form.
Yes.
I think within this new age of computers and access to everything so quickly, we tend to overlook the need to actually ensure that longevity, right? We tend to be very impulsive and short-term based versus really paying attention to the characters and thinking on the long term.
Yep, absolutely. I agree.
This leads me to another question I have for you. What do men want?
I think what men are looking for, and I know that it's probably a little bit cliche in this day and age, but I do think that men are looking for a safe space. I don't think it's much different than what women are looking for, ironically, right? So I think that men want to know that there is someone who is going to be supportive of them, that they can rely on, that they can begin to build a legacy of some sort with, that's not going to turn their back if things go awry, who is going to be by their side, who will respect them, acknowledge them, and value them. That's what I think.
I agree. I agree. I think playfulness is also a big thing, big factor that we pay attention to. Meaning, do I enjoy myself when I'm around you? Can we have fun? Can we be big kids? Because most men are big kids ourselves.
I believe that. Look at the gaming industry. I believe that.
The world is so serious that at times we just need to let go and have fun. I just feel that society doesn't allow women to experience that in most cases, but most men, like, we're allowed to be kids, right? Most responsibilities don't fall on us. We're not as heavily criticized, so therefore we're more free
Yeah, I feel
to
like
partake in certain
I
things.
hear you, but I would say a lot of guys would push back and say, no, the brunt of the responsibility, I'm the head of the household, I'm the leader of this home, without.
Let's be honest, right? Within every relationship,
I know what
every
you're gonna say.
marriage, we all know who's in charge.
I agree.
It's not us.
I agree.
It's not me. Hey, she the boss, not me. And that's the truth.
I agree.
That's the truth.
I agree.
So those that are, to me, it's a sign of immaturity, and it's a sign of lack of emotional intelligence to even go out there and say, I need to be the head of the household. I need to be the man. You either is or you're not. And being the head of the household doesn't mean that you must wear the crown and take this authoritarian approach. It's actually a matter of positioning everyone else to do whatever that they need to do for the better functioning of the family.
I've always had this thought, and it was, do men really want to be the head of their household? Do they really want to be? The reason why I say that is because if they're out on average 9 to 5 working and they are in some authority, some supervisor, something, wouldn't you want to come home and take off your hat and just chill? Like, do you want to be the big boss all of the time? I would imagine it would be comforting to allow somebody else to take the lead in some instances. I think the distinction we need to start making is that men want to feel like they're the head of the household. They want to feel value. They want to know,
Feel respected.
right, that they have some authority, whatever percentage that may be, and that what they say can potentially go. Not what I say goes all the time, but my what I'm saying is valuable. It'll be taken into consideration, and we will do it if it makes sense. But I can't imagine somebody really wants to be the boss all of the time. That's tiring and overwhelming, no?
Exactly. And I think one of the cheat codes to any healthy dynamic is shared responsibilities. It's partnership, right? It's having clear roles on who's responsible for what, but also being able to intertwine when need to be and having that support system. Like, showcasing your chest and taking space and saying, I'm the man, to me just make you look weak,
I agree.
right? It's like, for example, Jay-Z, worth billions. Most time he's out here wearing no gold necklaces, no loud brands or etc. But those that are just in the game that don't even have that much wealth feel the need to actually wear these things to
Yes.
communicate, hey, I got money.
Yep,
Makes no sense to me.
I agree.
But that's also part of the journey, right? It speaks to, one, their experience of relationships, the longevity of their relationships as well as their emotional maturity. Right? A lot of like the one of the biggest cheat codes to any relationship is attunement. Is my ability to attune to your feelings, that I know how you're going to feel before you even experience it.
Yes.
That I know what you're thinking and what you're experiencing before you even communicate it to me.
Yep.
Like I can tell you when my wife is about to enter her cycle. It's so easy. And I'll tell her and she says that I'm wrong. Go use the bathroom. I dare you. Come back. How do you know? It's very simple because I'm attuned to your needs, right? So attunement is something that couples need to practice more, right? It's knowing your partner so well that you know on Wednesday when they come home what their disposition is going to be based on how their day went, even though they didn't even tell you. Are we talking as much? Is she taking longer to reply? What does her tone sound like?
Yes.
Okay, let me run a bath and let me get a glass of wine ready and let me order takeout because
Yes.
she had a long day.
Yes.
Right? It's about those things. But for some reason, we overlook all of that. Why?
Shallow. And that's the key word of the day.
Shallow.
Just I think that folks are invested in themselves sometimes, so much so that they can't take the time, effort, and energy to pay attention to what others are going through, even if it's their life partner, even if it's their husband or their wife, that they're so invested in themselves, legitimately or illegitimately, right? Like maybe there is a really good reason why I'm not in tune to your needs right now, because there is something that really is brewing at work that has me so distracted. I have a concern with mommy and daddy's getting older. What are we going to do about them? The kids have some needs that we haven't tapped into yet. So it could be legitimate or it could be illegitimate. It can be I'm more concerned about scrolling on Instagram than listening to you. It can be I'm more concerned about getting with the bros on the game and they're in the chat talking about, yo, where you at? We about to be in the gulag or whatever the hell they called. You know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah, my husband plays.
Me too. And also friendship. Friendship. At the core of every healthy relationship is the foundation that is built on friendship. Do you know me? Do I know you? Do I feel well known by you? Do you feel well known by me? And what we have found is the stronger the friendship, the more the intimacy is,
Yes.
and the less conflict that actually happens.
Of course.
Now, in long-term relationships with a lot of responsibilities and where children become involved, we have less time together.
Yes.
So therefore, their friendship decreases.
Yes.
We're not talking as much. Right? We're not spending no
Or
quality time together.
We're talking about the kids.
Exactly.
It's all about
it's
the kids.
task-based, right? So I'd rather be on my game with my boards and you scrolling on IG versus us having a conversation about our day and what's going on in our world. So now we're so detached from each other that we are not in tune or attuned to each other's needs. That's where the infidelity starts to creep in, right? So infidelity, well, our relationship is described by Shirley Glass. I might have her name wrong. First name is Shirley though. Is that you are in a house with your partner and there is a wall between you and the world with a window to the world so you could see the world.
Okay.
As you start to spend less time together, have more conflict and become less attuned, that wall starts to grow between you and your partner and access to the world.
Okay.
Just a window to each other. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. That was tough. That was a good one. Is the wall between you guys or is the wall between the relationship and the world?
Yes.
Huh.
That sounds like Drake.
Drizzy?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not hiding the kid from the world. I'm hiding the world from the kid. Yeah, whatever the hell you said. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. I want to move into the two biggest complaints that women and men have in their relationship. Which one you want to tackle first?
Let's go with women's complaints.
If I were to ask you $1 million question, what are the two biggest complaints that women have in their relationship? What would be your answer?
That's a good one.
I already know the answer.
I'm sure that you do. I would say quality time. So spending quality time with their partner is probably their biggest issue.
Okay.
And then I would say lack of intimacy, which is connected to quality time.
Interesting. Okay. Mr. Wolf, I wouldn't be myself if I didn't ask you. What are the biggest two complaints that you think women have in a relationship?
Man, the biggest two complaints,
Most common,
most
popular.
common, probably one of them for sure is like not feeling like your emotions are validated.
Okay.
Probably that for sure. And the second thing is maybe it's not what you say but how you say it.
Okay.
I think that's it. Like I think a lot of the
Poor
time,
communication.
yeah, like something
That's
that
a good
I hear
one.
between my experience and like friends of mine, it's like it's the way you saying it. You know, you like in that passion, the energy. She can't, you know what I mean?
Not bad.
Yeah.
Good try.
Yeah.
What is it?
Good try. So the answer is he is never there for me, and there isn't enough intimacy and connection, which makes sense, right? If you're less attuned to your partner, even though they're present physically, they're not emotionally present because you guys are not connecting. And as you said, the lack of connection leads to the lack of emotional connection as well. Like, we're not talking. He's not a great listener. Whenever I try to talk, it goes directly to problem solving, right? And what most men don't realize that's also directly related to physical intimacy. You want to have great sex, you want to be her best, you got to do two things. Number one, master her mind, then master her body. What do I mean by that? Master her mind is women are consistently seeing the definition of what is deemed to be beautiful all around them.
Yes.
If you pay attention to the commercials on television, right? It's always sport this, perfume this. It's always a sexy woman that usually they look nothing like in most cases, right? So they have all of these reminders about themselves that
Yes.
they are not deemed desirable.
Yes.
So mastering her mind is being able to remind her how beautiful she is, being able to make her feel sexy, make her feel wanted and desired.
Yes.
And that will directly translate to her body because now when you touch her, there's enough emotional engagement and emotional deposit with her mind that her body will positively react to you. Master her mind and master her body. The second one is the more connected she feels with you, the more sexual she will be with you, right? So it's all about spending that quality time, talking to each other, getting to know each other. That's why at first the sex is so great. There's so much passion because the friendship is so strong. But again, as we have talked about, as the relationship grows, that tends to also fade, right? So spending the time to actually create those emotional connections and those emotional deposits into the relationship, which will then translate in her desire of and availability along with performance sexually.
Do you think it's too much to ask for women to reach out to their female friends for that emotional support and no resolution, and reach out to their husbands and their boyfriends to reach out and for resolution? Like maybe we just need to be having conversations with the right people.
100%. So one of the biggest misconception that we tend to have about relationships is expecting our partner to play every role in our life.
Yep.
Right? He's my best friend, or she's my best friend, my trainer, my this, my that, my etc. That's a lot of responsibilities for one person to occupy.
Yep.
So it's good to have a social network, yes. But a lot of times women will tend to seek out their female friends for that connection and that support because their partners is unavailable to them, right? Now the skill becomes, can you communicate that effectively? Hey babe, lately I've been feeling neglected and invisible to you. And it's making me feel like unwanted, as if you don't even want to be here. And I would like to change that. So could we possibly put our phones away from 8 to 9 o'clock tonight and just talk and just chat? That would mean a lot to me. That would allow me to feel more connected to you, right? That's where the skill comes in.
Right.
Make sense?
And then dude says no.
If you phrase it like so, 90s,
I can't imagine. I agree. I can't
if you
imagine someone
phrase it
loves
like
you
that,
and you say no.
yeah, and if he does say no, you give him a big fuck you and you walk away because he don't want to be here.
Yeah. I think it's important that we identify who we go to for what.
Correct.
So I'm the friend who is resolution based. Do not come to me to vent. I don't want to hear the vent. I want this is my problem, Allison. Can you help me resolve it? Sure. But if you're coming to me because you just want to complain, I'm just not the friend for you. And it doesn't mean that I'm a bad guy or you're wrong. It just means you have to choose who's most appropriate for the task. I'm going to go to the hair salon to get my hair done. I'm not going to the hair salon to get my dress tailored, right? I'm choosing the person who I think can complete the task. So sometimes I think it's okay to say, if I just want to vent about Daisy at work who gets on my nerves, call my friend for that. If I want to talk about how am I going to position myself at work to get the promotion, I'll talk to my husband about that. And that's okay.
Nice. I like that. I didn't think of it like that, but that's fire.
But I think you're right when you say we have an expectation for people to show up in every facet that we need humans to show up for us. And that's not fair. I'm also not the one who you're going to go out with. Like, I'm not the one to grab a drink. You have the turn up friends.
Correct.
And that's okay. And those relationships are shallow. Right? And that's okay because that's the value. I'm getting the fun. I'm getting the, we go talk to guys, we grab a drink, we get fucked up, we do whatever. And that's where that relationship ends. And that's okay. Don't call me to go outside. I'm not going outside.
I wonder what friend am I?
I mean, in your line of work, I would imagine that you're probably
They get 15 minutes. Yo, I got 15 minutes. Go ahead.
15-minute consult.
15 minutes. Oh yeah, cool. Okay. What do you want to do? You wanna know? Okay, cool. All right. No problem. I'll listen and help you process, but I'm not gonna tell you what to do because I don't tell people what to do.
Well, no therapist does, right?
Correct. Yeah.
That's why people don't like therapists. That's why people like coaches. Coaches tell you what to do.
According to my invoice from this week, people love me. Which leads us to the top 2 things that most men complain about.
You tell me.
You tell me.
You know what? I have to tell you this. I'll share this with you. I don't like saying this aloud because I don't like speaking it because I feel like it may be true. I don't know. I think that I may have a little bit more masculine energy than I would like, i.e. resolution based. I don't want to vent. Like, let's get to, so I don't know that answer.
Really?
I don't know what men complain about because I feel like I show up in a way in my relationship that my husband appreciates me because I think like him, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So we don't have a lot of the same conflict that the average male-female relationship has because I think I kind of show up like his boys.
Nice.
Other than the video games.
Got it. Which tells me one thing. The fact that you can even recall or know tells me that you have a thriving, masterful relationship.
I do.
Thriving and masterful.
That's my boo.
Hey.
Hey.
Let's ask Wolf.
What are the complaints? Oh, well, I mean, I could throw some out there. I'll throw them out there for fun.
Okay. Top 2.
Number 1, I think that men probably are not fans eventually of their sex life.
Okay.
Like the quality and the quantity over time.
Correct.
I think that men are probably not crazy about the demands that women have for them emotionally, requiring that they show up as every kind of human being that the person needs, being extremely vulnerable. That's probably a big complaint that the gentlemen have. And potentially having their own space and identity, i.e. me complaining about video games 3 times in 40 minutes. Like, I'm sure that guys probably want the opportunity to just be some alone time, some time with the boys, and the chicks don't like that. That's my guess.
Pretty good. Let's see if you could tap that.
I'm gonna have to piggyback on the sex life thing. The sex life thing is definitely huge.
That's number 1.
And I think the other thing is maybe not feeling heard. Like maybe it's like when women, they're more known to be emotional. So when it's their time to be heard, we listen. But when it's the other way around, sometimes you might not get the same level of priority.
See, this speaks to his high level of emotional intelligence and thinking just everybody else has that. What men have you heard that say, I don't feel heard?
Right.
They don't say it.
It's not that common.
Yeah, they don't
Yeah.
say it.
They act it. Right. So the top 2 complaints are lack of sex and we're fighting too much. We're not having enough sex and we're fighting too much. Right. But could you see how the 2 complaints that men have mirrors the 2 complaints that women have? Like, we have the same complaints.
Not the sex part.
But the sex part is due to the lack of attunement. Is due to the lack of emotional connection. Right? Because I always say that men need physical connection in order to be emotionally connected, while women needs emotional connection in order to be physically connected. So therefore, you're passing each other.
Yes.
And you're missing each other, but arguing about the same thing because, yeah, we both want the same thing.
I'm going to say something ridiculous.
Talk to me.
Do we belong together? You know what I'm saying? Like, why is this seemingly so hard? Like, maybe we just don't belong. Maybe guys belong with guys and girls belong with girls, or women belong. Because why is there so much difficulty in our ability to communicate or connect?
Because it's skill based, right? Just like driving, like we had to learn how to drive. We had
Yes.
to go and get a license. For any task in life in general, for any role you got to play, it's very skill based. But in relationships, for some reason, we forget that we must acquire those skills. Hence why your work and my work is so important and so needed, because we're able to give them that skill. Right? So there's so many easy concepts and ways that men can learn to be more emotionally available. That's through conversation.
Yeah.
Sitting down with your partner and just talking. Just hearing about her day for 10 minutes allow her to release 45% of her stress and feel more connected to you.
Absolutely.
And that's what you used to do when you used to date. So it's not that we don't know. It just no longer becomes a practice due to the comfort that exists in having the title husband and wife.
Yes. I would agree.
Yeah. Whew. All right. I do have a question for you, though.
Yes.
Since I have you here and you're an expert. Who makes the first move, men or women?
Women every single time.
Why don't people know that and understand that and grab that concept?
Yeah, women every single time. Because it's not overt.
Correct.
So that's why they don't recognize that.
It's very subtle.
We give the eye, we give the smile, we give the flip of the hair, we give the go ahead for that gentleman for the most part. Unless you're talking about like someone who's like socially inept, you know, like a Jerome from Martin who can't read the room, who just talks to every woman without noticing that she's not interested. But relatively speaking, the average man, average woman situation, women.
Yeah.
We open the door to allow that gentleman to get some kind of clue that it's safe for him to come over. The thing that really gets on my nerves, women talk all the time about being fearful of rejection. Men put themselves out since like the age of 10, have put themselves out there in order to connect with women, many times being rejected regardless. But nonetheless, we're the ones who put out there so that guys can feel kind of safe enough to approach to see if this is something that can happen between the two of us. Women do all the time.
I agree. But I also think what most women don't understand is us men, we don't really pick up on the signs as much as you think that we do, right? So on average, a man misses 4 times the sign. So if you're going to smile at me, you got to smile at least 5 times, right? If you're going to throw your hair back, you got to do this at least 5 times for me to notice. Because the first few times, I'm like, she's just smiling because she's just smiling.
Yeah, she's happy.
Right? We are going to find reasons why to now walk over there, right? And also is maximizing the space, is reducing the path for me to get to you. So if you with your girls, all 5 of y'all are over there and I'm right here, the likelihood of me approaching you, slim to none.
Yep.
Right. So I need you to come meet me halfway.
Yes.
Get in the space that's a lot closer so I can get to you.
The ladies don't like that. And I tell them that all the time. I tell them all the time, you have to be reasonable. A gentleman, anyone with sense, but particularly in this case, a gentleman is going to take the path of least resistance. If there is a version of me that's over there with 5 girlfriends, and then the same version of me that's over there with 1 girlfriend or by myself, which one is the most reasonable path to take? The path of least resistance. So I got to go over there, introduce myself. Maybe all 5 of you guys might reject me, make a big scene of it. Someone might cock block. You want to talk to my friend. You got to talk to all of us. You want to buy my friend and you got to buy all. Or do I go over here? It's quieter. Maybe just 1 woman by herself or with a friend. Now I'm buying 2 drinks versus buying 5. Now if I'm rejected, it's not as obvious and blatant. You have to position yourself in order to be approached. And the ladies don't like to hear that because they want love and romance to fall on their lap. They don't want to go outside. They don't want to go on dating apps. They think that, I don't know, that love is going to be delivered in a box.
Oh, yeah?
right? And then so they looked under their Christmas tree a couple of weeks ago and it was not there.
And on Valentine's Day, still won't be.
And it won't be there, right? And so you have to make a valiant effort. What the ladies don't understand is that they work hard in their careers. They work hard in their education, their physique, their outward appearance. But they think that, again, this stuff is supposed to just fall into their lap. It doesn't work like that. We're not taught to date. We're not taught how to navigate dating successfully, how to build relationships successfully. You say it all the time. It's a skill set.
Correct.
So you think it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
You have to make an effort. You have to. Or it's not going to happen. Or the likelihood is slim to none. Maybe the Amazon man, maybe the Uber Eats guy, maybe there will be a guy who will show up on your doorstep. Likelihood is slim to none.
And I think that nowadays one of the biggest things that I can understand is why the rush. Why the rush to go from dating to marriage so quickly? Why such a big gamble with not enough time to assess?
I'll tell you why. Especially as you, the gentleman who says you're so understanding, you should know why. Biology,
I get that.
society.
Yes, I get that. But do we also understand what it takes to build a long-lasting relationship?
No.
And
However,
and the time that it's needed. Do you know those that get married within the first 3 years of dating each other have the highest rate of divorce?
I did not know that.
Because the first 3 years is the I'm in love with you phase, right? Which feels great, which is full of passion. That's the love story, right? But after year 3 or 4, you go through a process where your brain is decluttering that. Like you go through a detox of each other. And now you enter the I love you phase, which requires the skills needed because I'm choosing you. So I'm choosing you, but I must have the skills needed to actually make it last.
Yes.
And that's where the divorce tends to happen the most.
Biology says, first of all,
It's 2023. People are giving birth at all types of ages.
do I want to? What is my snapback going to look like? And I know you might think that that's shallow. However,
That's
my
fair.
confidence.
No, of course.
That's
I
how
get
I
that.
feel about myself as a human being and my value as women. That is the number one thing that we're valued in society is how we look.
Correct.
Secondly is our personality. And then finally might be our career, our education. So how I look matters. So how more difficult is my snapback going to be? How more difficult is my pregnancy and delivery going to be? How much more in danger am I going to be literally to die as I push this baby out or it gets cut out of me, right?
Gotcha.
How desirable am I going to be to my partner when that snapback is more difficult for me to gather? The pressure is real and it's on. Am I going to, my knees, like, can I get down on the floor and play with this kid when I'm 45 years old?
And that's why it's so important to make sure that you're making the right choice, right? Because first year or 2 years, he was a great guy. The child comes here, or I'm pregnant, and it's a complete horror story because you didn't have enough time yet to see this individual in different opportunities.
Yes, yeah.
And in different places
Situations,
and have a full understanding of who it is that you are dating.
Yes, but I could always go to Mac and he can help my relationship, right? And get me back on track. But if the clock runs out for me to have that baby, the clock runs out. I'm
Do you need marriage prior to having a child?
Society says so.
I'm sick and tired of society said this and said
Society-
this. Like,
Society says so. And guess what? I'm a proponent of it too. I am not going to have a child with some, if you
understand.
can't commit to me on the highest level that our culture says, which is marriage, then I cannot commit 10 months of my body to you. So no, absolutely not.
Okay, so you're saying that I'm to you as if you also don't want the child.
Yes, I do.
You might want to be a mother. You might want to have a child yourself. And you might say, you know what? Based on what we have so far, I could see you being a good father. So let's have this child together. So it can also be a self-fulfilling journey versus doing it just for the man's desire.
Yes, but as we shared earlier in the pod, that it's way more risky for me medically. Like that's a given, obviously, right?
I agree.
And otherwise. So
I agree.
it's so I have more to lose.
Yes, but you also exactly you have more to lose. So if we don't know each other to the full extent, have developed a friendship or have assessed that, you know what, we can actually make this last, why take on this journey, this contract along with having children and for it not to work?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you in the sense of we should be taking our time within reason. Within reason. But
Within reason.
but at the end of the day, I didn't do it. Right? Nature did it. I have limitations that you don't have that you will never understand. No matter how many degrees and clients you got,
can understand.
You can never appreciate to the
Correct.
fullest
Yeah,
extent.
of course. I can't experience it.
Right.
I can
the physiological
understand.
pressures.
Correct.
Like there are literally hormones that clock in around between like age 28 and 32 that say, get this done now before it's over. We're animals, right? And so there is an innate desire for us to procreate. You don't have that limitation that women have. As a result, we have to push the limit because society says, and I agree with society, that you should be in the most committed relationship available to you before you take this next step of child rearing.
Yes. Let's look at the outcomes. Right. Society says a number of things, and it is our responsibility to decondition ourselves to what doesn't make sense and doesn't apply.
Yes.
Right. Because when we look at the outcome, that tells us what more than likely is going to be our fate. The divorce rate is above 50%.
Yes.
Right. There's hundreds and thousands of marriages that are going through divorce yearly.
Yes.
And the earlier you get married within your dating phase,
Yes.
the higher your rate of divorce is.
Yes.
So if you're looking at the long scheme of things, it doesn't make sense to push for those things so quickly. Yes, there are factors that are going to play part into your decision making. But knowing the outcome, is it worth it? And that's where and I think that's where the conversation needs to shift, right? Is what the expectations are going to be, is maybe redefining what does that relationship look like based on the circumstances that you're in, as opposed to attempting to apply the status quo to your experience that is not the norm.
But in all fairness, you say that sounds good, right? Like, oh, well, you don't have to rush the marriage. If you want to be a mom and you think this person will make a great dad, then have the children and then you can consider the marriage later. Then when women do that, in the same society that you said we should not consider, but we live in it.
Can we get rid of this word society?
But it's what we live in to pretend like we don't, like we live in a vacuum. This is where we are.
Do we not have the right to update our understanding and definition and not allow us to be so subjected to the masses thinking?
To that particular standard, no. There are other ones that I would agree with. To that particular one, no. Because when women don't do
it's
it,
very unfair, right? Because if we're paying attention to what society demands from males, we would be the worst partners of all time.
what does society demand from men?
To focus on work, focus on being a provider, and not be emotionally available because those are weak.
I don't think that's true. Right. Not in the last few years. I think there's been a huge cultural shift. There's been a huge...
In some places, yes, but the cultural norm still remains the cultural norm, right? I'm sure if we did any emotional intelligence tests on most males, not most would surpass. Well. Exactly.
Yes.
Right. So if there's that expectation that we must do the work and update our thinking and update our lifestyles in the way that we view relationships and show up, why doesn't that apply to those that are seeking marriage at a faster rate without the proper assessments being done due to the need to have a child?
Let me ask you this.
Talk to me.
Right? You're saying this, it sounds decent in theory. If this were your sister, your daughter, and she says, Dad, she says, bro, I'm 39, I'm 41, I really want to have children. Do you think it's a good idea for me to have children with this guy who is not willing to marry me? He's not willing to commit to me on that level, but he's willing to put a baby in me. Do you think this is a good idea?
I would ask him this question. Do you want to have a child with this individual? And are you willing to do what it takes to continue to provide and be present for that child, even if this individual's relationship with you does not progress? That's what I would say, right? Because I don't feel like you should push for marriage within 2-3 years, right? because you don't know who it is that you're marrying.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather you take that slow. But if you want to have a child, go have a child.
Okay, that's what you would
Right.
say. All right, that's an honest
I
response.
think that's my perspective on it.
I
'Cause-
absolutely would not say that. I would say if this man cannot commit to you legally and in a binding way, then you should not commit yourself to, because divorces are easy. Filing a divorce is relatively easy. It takes a couple.
Filing?
Yes, right. Filing, but months and a couple of $1,000s versus being stuck.
Changing assets, this
And
and that.
compare. Listen to what I'm comparing it to. Comparing to if this guy is a decent human being and he wants to be a dad, you are stuck with this person for 18 years. There's no divorcing from co-parenting. You can't even leave the state with your child without the permission of the other parent.
Okay.
So to me, I would imagine that the higher commitment is to be a co-parent with someone than the marriage.
But if
that's
you
what I'm saying.
get
So
divorced,
if
you do become a co-parent.
yes, but my point is that if this person can't even commit to me, then in the highest level of the land that we live in, society that you don't like, if you can't even commit to me on that level, then why would I then take it to the next level, which is parenthood? I think parenthood is the bigger commitment, is my point.
I agree. I agree. But the parenthood is happening because you also desire a child.
Yes.
Okay. So I makes sense. I agree. I don't think there's a one-way answer here. Right. I think within our viewpoints, we can understand each other's perspective.
Yes.
It's just that as a couples therapist,
Yes.
I see what it looks like when two people that if they had more time, would have never been in this space.
Yeah.
And due to the constraints of time and society, felt like they had to do something or move too quickly. And now they just hate each other.
Yeah.
And the child is suffering.
As a result, yes.
Correct.
But there's a point that I want to make clear, again, with society. Your argument is reasonable until that same society, the same culture that we're in says, well, you're having a hard time with your child's father. Why did you even have a child with him in the first place without that level of commitment, right? So damned if you do, damned if you don't. We're limited by biology.
You're right.
We're limited by biology. And so if we say, from a logical perspective, you can get married anytime. You can't have a baby anytime. So logic says if you're pressed because you want to be a parent and you're limited, then become the parent first, worry about marriage later. From a logical perspective of, again, you can get married anytime, but you can't have a baby anytime. However, when you do that, and you do have the child because you desire being a mom and you desire parenthood, and things don't work out, it's, well, you didn't qualify him in the first place. And what you should have done was he wasn't even married to you and you a baby mama, right? So you get all of these judgments put on you. So your best course of action is to learn how to build healthy relationships, get into those healthy relationships relatively like late 20s-ish so that you can invest the time that you're talking about, the 4 years, the 5 years, to then get married and to then have that child. That's my logic.
Okay. I want to add a caveat to what you said. If you are going based on the constraints and if you want to move toward marriage at a faster rate that I would deem to be fair,
Yes.
premarital therapy is a must.
Yes, I agree.
Please. Premarital therapy is a must. Play offense and not defense, right? If you want to cash in and you want to have the highest rate of success, go all in. Do the therapy, get married, and have your child. I would say, to me, as the couples therapist, which more than likely is going to inherit those individuals at the back end,
Yes.
it's a lot more helpful when some work has been done primarily as opposed to, okay, well, we're going to try therapy. If that don't work, I'm out. And now the child has a lot of suffering to do, intended or non-intended.
I think you said it so well when you said, as the couples therapist, you're getting the difficulties of what happens when folks don't prepare in advance.
Yeah.
As the singles coach, I'm telling you about the difficulties of when women date men for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, saying because we're deepening our knowledge of each other. Hell no, he's bullshitting you and he's wasting your time. And again, you understand, but you don't appreciate that for women on the market, the older that we are, the seemingly less desirable that we come across as, right? Yeah. So we cannot afford to hope and pray and wait around. We just can't, because of biology and because of society.
I agree. I agree. I was watching this podcast where this guy said that a woman's highest market value is at the age of 23, while a man's at the age of 32.
Yeah, based on what? Do you remember? I mean, I don't know about 23. I can imagine the physique of a 23-year-old, right? The breasts are up and perky, and I can imagine the physique, but I can't imagine the mindset
Exactly.
of a 23-year-old. I don't even know what the hell I was doing at 23.
So I ask you this, right? It's as if in order to be successful in the medium that we are of relationships, you either need to be at one end of the spectrum. And I feel that us being mental health professionals and that have more understanding and more compassion and just more research based, more skill based, we tend to play the middle because we can see both and
Yes.
combine the two.
Yes.
But that also has led to some degree a lack of visibility for us.
I agree.
Why is that? And how do we change that? And what role have we played in that being the status quo?
When you say visibility, you mean like socially, like
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I think it's the same idea around clickbait, right? Like if something is debatable and it's high strung, high energy, someone is saying something that's really ridiculous or extreme, then that's going to be more attractive, right?
It's causing a reaction, so I'm gonna react.
Right. Versus us being reasonable, fair, respectful, understanding of each other's points, agreeable.
Yeah.
Like that's not going to be, unfortunately, as entertaining. So that's why we're not going to have the visibility. I remember someone wrote underneath one of my posts and said, I'm so tired of women getting all of the dating and relationship advice. Where are the coaches for the men? And I went and I tagged about 5 different male coaches that I know. Well, one female coach for men, and then the rest of them male coaches for men. And I said they exist. I just Googled them or I went on hashtags. So you don't know them because you are on the Shade Room and on site and every other thing, and you're on your explore page and you're choosing to click on the content that's debatable, that's that's exciting, that's arguable. And so that's why you don't know, but they definitely exist and men are using them. They're just not sharing it aloud. So if you want to have a conversation around why the algorithm works that way, then go ahead. My comments ain't for it, but it exists and men are reaching out for help. Would you agree that men are reaching out for help?
100%. I would say what? In the past few months, I would say 70% males, 30% women. And whether they're in a relationship or single, like men are going to therapy now because one, there's more male representative, right? And they also understand their needs to work through their trauma and communicating what's happening for them. Because a lot of time men lack the language to share what they're actually experiencing. And in therapy with someone that looks like them and can understand the nuances of what they're saying, it's a lot easier. But I'm just saying that if in a few months I see a shift, just now I'm trying to be a millionaire.
No, I think there really is a shift. I
Man.
actually want to give credit to what's the gentleman's name on the radio? Charlemagne the God. He talks a
God.
lot about therapy and his process and how beneficial it's
Every
been.
Friday at 3 p.m.
And lots of other folks who are being more open and honest about going to therapy and realizing there's no shame in that. I think that there really is a shift in the community in regards to that.
And how do we support each other more to gain more visibility? Because I always say we provide the medicine. We don't provide the tea. The tea at times can be a form of medicine, but not always, right? And it also keeps you warm and makes you feel relaxed and comfortable. Versus the medicine can have a bitter taste,
Yes.
but can cure a number of things.
Yes, yes.
So those of us that are providing the medicine, how can we collectively support each other more to amplify the medicine that we have to deliver?
We have to insert the medicine in the tea. Right? That's how we have to do it. So if that means
Hence Ménage À Mind.
yes, right, exactly. That's a perfect example. Look at the name, right?
Ménage À Mind.
Right, how it attracts people. It attracted me like, oh, that's an interesting name, and let me see what they're talking about. Is it sexual in nature? I don't know. I'm
Yes,
going to
it
click, right?
All in
So
those episodes.
that's what we have to do. We have to insert the medicine into the tea, just like you put the medicine in the candy. So if that means that I make a title of my reel that's going to be a little clickbaity, and then when you click it, it's like, oh, all right, it's a little bit more insightful than I thought. Hopefully they don't notice that, but that's exactly what we have to do, because that's what the algorithm is going to appreciate, and that's what people are going to want to attach themselves to. We are going to go onto podcasts. We're going to share our message. We're going to create lots of content, post all the time. We're going to do paid ads. We're going to put ourselves out there, but we're going to position it in a way that seems a little bit more seductive. And then once they click on it, they're going to say, this is insightful and valuable, and I am going to share it.
Interesting. And I agree. I think for me, I've redefined what success looks like for me. Right? It's not as much as, even though I say I want to be a millionaire and I want the visibility, right? I want the visibility to the audience that I'm creating for, right? I want to have the conversations that I'm having, right? Right now I'm at 15,000 followers. I don't want more than that, because it's already hard to manage, right? The DMs, the comments, the this and that, and I don't have the time for it,
Yeah.
right? So I've kind of redefined that, and I've also noticed that eventually people seek out the medicine because they're tired of coughing. Even though the tea may coat their throat, it doesn't cure the cough.
Yes.
So eventually they cycle through and seek out the medicine, which translate into more therapy sessions.
Right.
Right. But I do agree that as creators, as those within the space that are doing more, we need to create bigger platforms, have more collaborations and more support. Right. There's no reason why certain things, like especially in this city, right? There's no reason why we can't all collaborate on an event or put something together, right? And just share the load and share the finances and share everything else. And I find that with those that are on the left or on the right, there's a lot more collaboration. They're going on each other's podcasts. They're supporting each other. They're reposting and etc. But for us, I just feel like it's not happening as much.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's my goal for 2023. Whoever I can highlight, whoever's content needs to be reposted. If I miss it, because I'm not on IG as much anymore, text me, DM me, send me a message, and I'll get that done.
Yep.
And thank you again for being present. I appreciate you. Can you
course.
tell the people where to find you?
Yes, absolutely. So you can find me at Align with Alison, ALIGN with Alison, on every platform: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, everything. And my website, alignwithallison.com.
Yes. Can you also tell them about the challenge you're having?
Oh, yes. So currently I am running a 31-day challenge. It's called the Alignment Assignment. It's to help folks to get into alignment for 2023. There are workbooks and worksheets and live sessions, and it's the most outrageously affordable. I've been saying this. A whopping $31 is $1 a day. If you can't invest $1 a day in getting your life in alignment, I don't know what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm going to say, like, you are one of the hardest working women on IG.
Oh, thank you.
Whenever I'm back on, you're always posting something. You're always doing something. I don't know how you have the output. On behalf of all of us out there, we just want to say that we're very thankful for the work that you do. We appreciate you. I wish I could put out as much as you do, but man, your work is amazing. So I thank you for that. Some of my clients have gone to you to your trainings and etc. Oh
yeah, they speak highly of me
all the time, 24/7. And you can find me on this podcast on Ménage À Mind. I just want to thank you guys for this session and look forward to seeing you again. Peace.
On the next episode of Ménage À Mind.
From man to man, I applaud that.
She's looking at me like, are you fucking with me right now?
As a masterful communicator, I will say that was pretty good, my man.
Told you.